Former president and now convicted criminal Donald Trump says that he thought it was terrible that people at his rallies would chant, "Lock her up," about Hillary Clinton.
I thought it was terrible. You know, I'd make a speech, everyone would say, "Lock her up, lock her up, lock." And I said, wouldn't it be terrible if I locked up the wife of the President of the United States, former, and locked up the former Secretary of State? It's a terrible thing. You know, you're starting, if you want to bring the country together. I want to bring the country together.
Oh, such a terrible thing when they would chant, "Lock her up." I didn't agree with that at all. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if I locked up the wife of the former president of the United States? Now, this interview actually comes right after Trump had claimed this, quote, "Hillary Clinton, I didn't say lock her up, but the people said lock her up, throwing his own fans essentially under the bus. But I never said it, though. I never said it. Really?
So crooked Hillary, you should lock her up, I'll tell you.
I'll tell you something, though. In respect to lock them up, you should lock them up. Lock up the Bidens. Lock up Hillary.
Okay, here's one. Just came out. Lock her up is right.
You know what? I've been saying, let's just beat her on November 8th. But you know what? No. You know what? I'm starting to agree with you, I'll tell you.
I feel like this is a good Trump versus Trump moment. Now, Donald Trump versus Donald Trump. I didn't say that totally. I didn't say lock her up. Lock her up. Lock her up. Lock Biden up. No, look. In the Hannity interview, he does say something pretty interesting that I didn't show you. He talked about how, it's like MMA. Like, you know, you got two fighters, they go at it, they hate each other, and then afterward, everybody's hugging. Everybody's hugging. Really? You're hugging Hillary Clinton? Is that what you're saying? You gonna hug Joe Biden? You certainly didn't after, January 6th, after you lost in November in 2020. So I don't know. Here's the thing, though. He talked about it there like it's some sort of an act. Like, oh, no, I'm just playing the crowd, right? Well, that's what Donald Trump does. I mean, he's a showman. He does A/B testing of his audience. And what do I mean by that? Basically, if he says something and it gets a lot of applause, people like it, then he'll keep doing it. If he says something that the audience does not like, he stops doing it. I mean, could that be what this is about? Maybe. It's a possibility. He says it because the crowd loves it, because the crowd actually does want to lock up Hillary Clinton, does want to lock up Joe Biden. And Trump is like, I don't know, I'm going to go along with it, because he doesn't take anything seriously. All he takes seriously is, do the people love me or not? Are the people going to vote for me or not? And once again, the crowd does take things seriously and gets rather irritated when he doesn't do what he says he's going to do. That said, they're serious. The chuds are serious. The people who'll appoint to the DOJ are probably quite serious. And so, yeah, that's a bit of a problem. Now, there's a second possibility in that he's just lying about this. So just saying, I never said it, when he knows that he said it. It's not like Trump lying is unprecedented at all, okay? He's got a document over 30,000 lies. Okay, so he's lied a lot. Now, another possibility, though, is that he doesn't remember. Like his brain, just doesn't remember him saying it. I don't know if that's the case at all. I think that's the least likely part of it. There's no situation where this looks good for Donald Trump. He said it. His fans want it. His, the people that he's going to appoint in the DOJ are probably going to go after it. And again, and all of that leads to the possibility that he might do it because, well, they did it to him. Who did it to him? Well, it certainly wasn't Joe Biden. Certainly wasn't Hillary Clinton. Neither of them were involved. This was a state case that had solid evidence that was used to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Trump had forged business documents in order to get a political outcome, in order to hide this from potential voters, okay, to hide the story. When it comes to Hillary and Biden, I mean, there are no crimes, okay? There is no evidence against them to show that they had committed crimes. Very, very, different circumstances here, okay? In fact, if you can remember, Republicans in the House attempted to impeach Joe Biden over corruption, influence peddling, James Comer, months and months of investigations, nothing. No evidence of either of those things. And then you go back further, Hillary Clinton and the emails, oh, butter emails. And then even further back, Benghazi, absolutely nothing. She did nothing. Like, I wouldn't say that she didn't do anything wrong. She was certainly irresponsible with her home server, but nothing criminal. Okay, and that's really the bar there. Was there criminal activity? No. Was it irresponsible? Yes. And again, you can go to Joe Biden keeping classified documents in his garage. Was it irresponsible? Yes. Was it criminal? No. He gave them back. That's really the important thing. He gave them back as soon as he found them. Oh, shoot, I shouldn't have this stuff. Here you go. Donald Trump could have avoided at least those charges, right, by just handing over the documents, okay? But at this point, if Donald Trump wins, very unlikely that he's, going to allow that case to stick around, okay, if he becomes president. And it's been delayed so much by Judge Eileen M. Cannon in Florida, the case has, that it's not going to be, heard, decided before the election, unfortunately. So that said, right, the difference here between Trump and the rest is pretty clear, okay? If you do crimes, turns out you might actually get in trouble. I know. Look at Bob Menendez, okay? A little bit of trouble. Look at Henry Cuellar, a little bit of trouble. Hell, Hunter Biden is on trial right now, okay? A little bit of trouble. Now, this false narrative that, the DOJ is targeting Republicans is absolutely ridiculous. Since the year 2000, the DOJ has done a lot of federal cases against members of both parties. I want to give you the Democrats that are on that list, and it's not comprehensive. It's just a few examples. Former Representative Corinne Brown, Democrat from Florida, served more than 2 years in prison for setting up a fake charity. Do you know anybody else who's set up a fake charity? Yeah. Former Representative Anthony Weiner, New York. He was sentenced to 21 months in prison for sexting with a minor. There's that. There's former Representative Chaka Fattah, Democrat from Pennsylvania, who was sentenced to 10 years in prison for racketeering, fraud, and money laundering. Former Representative Jesse Jackson Jr. from Illinois, Democrat, sentenced to 30 months in prison for misusing campaign funds. Former Representative James Traficant, a Democrat from Ohio, was sentenced to 8 years in prison for corruption after defending himself during trial. He was later expelled from the House. And former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich is a Democrat, was convicted for trying to sell his power to appoint a replacement to Barack Obama's Senate seat. You know what? Interestingly enough, who commuted his sentence? Donald Trump. Law and order president, everybody. And then former Alabama Governor Don Siegelman, who's a Democrat, convicted by a jury of bribery and corruption, and was sentenced to more than 6 years in prison. There are just as many, if not more, Republicans that are also on this list of people targeted by the DOJ. My point here in pointing out that, yes, Democrats are on this list is not to say, Democrats are more criminal than Republicans. No. It's to show that there is no bias here. They got targeted, and there are just as many, if not more, Republicans on this list, but it's not because of bias that they're getting targeted by the DOJ. It is because they did crime and got caught. So Democrats don't seem to have a problem with any of this, right? And that's because they actually care about law and order. Okay? That's how it's supposed to work. If you do crime, you get in trouble and you go to court. That's what happens. That's why you don't see the left really up in arms about Hunter Biden. Now, personally, I think that there are political motives in that trial because he was supposed to get a plea deal. Normally, you don't go to trial over this gun charge, right? The specific gun charge of, hey, you lied on paperwork in order to, get a weapon. And so, you were supposed to say that if you were on drugs or not. And, Hunter Biden didn't, and so therefore he got a gun illegally. All right. Still, generally, you get a plea deal for that. In this case, the plea deal had fallen apart because of pressure from Republicans, and of course, you have a Republican-appointed judge in that case. Okay, so that's why I think that's basically politically motivated prosecution. That said, if a jury finds him guilty, when they find him guilty, I'm going to respect that jury's decision. Nobody's going to tear the country apart if Hunter Biden faces any consequences for lying on a gun form. All right? Again, the argument here is, and this is my argument, yeah, it's unfair and it's politically, political persecution in this case in order to get Hunter Biden and hurt Joe Biden personally because that's his son. But at the same time, nobody's going to rip the country apart as a result for that. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we do have a respect for the rule of law. Can Trump supporters say the same? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.